Establishing secure connection. Please stand by. Please enter password to proceed. Welcome to the Bond Bulletin. Live transmission initiated.
Hello, Bond fans everywhere. I am Benjamin Lind, editor of the Bond Bulletin, and this is the very first live stream here on my YouTube channel. And I have to say it again, thank you for 1.5K subscribers. It's really great. So this live stream tonight, we're going to look at some images and videos from the filming in Matera, which has now lasted several weeks. And I hope everybody can hear me correctly. If not, please pop it in the chat if you have issues with the live stream. You should be hearing me correctly. You should see me on the right side of the video screen. And on the left is a warning displayed. If you don't want to see any of the filming, this live stream unfortunately isn't for you. There won't be many spoilers. There will be something that people maybe consider as a minor spoiler. But we start with a recent picture of the photo call in Matera with director Cary Fukunaga, Bond girl Lea Seydoux, obviously, and our 007 Daniel Craig. In the chat, let me know what your opinions are, what you think of them three in Matera. Is Daniel Craig looking too old? We have discussions already everywhere on the planet. And while we go through the images and videos, many of you might have seen most of it, but I think it is sometimes really a great thing to come together and watch it together, and since we can't do a watch party at my home, we do it this way. When have they started in Matera, actually? They prepared the filming early in August, and the city of Matera is a wonderful backdrop for a Bond movie, I think. At first I wasn't that impressed, and I've said that before, with Italy being featured again in a Daniel Craig film, but hey, it is a great ancient city. I have lots of my notes here about Matera and the various things that we're going to see, so I'm looking left and right, so don't worry if I seem like I don't pay attention, but I am. I have lots of notes here. Matera, also known as La Città Sotterranea, the underground city. It is ancient because it has ancient cave dwellings. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1993, and on top of that, 2019's European Capitals of Culture, together with another city in Poland that I didn't write down. Well, okay. Matera has a population of 60,500 people. And yeah, they all witnessed the filming of No Time to Die. We move on to an early production picture. This is the fake balcony they built, a hotel room balcony overlooking Matera. So they went through a lot of trouble with having the scaffolding and everything. In total, this is really a large production in Matera. It's not like this is all being done in a couple of days. Just to give you a few numbers, the Bond production company invested 12 million euros into the city of Matera. They have 100 accommodation facilities and 400 people working for the production. And they helped build this balcony. And I have a picture of it being set up. Many of you might have seen that. Italian media have snapped up this picture. And as you can see, the historic city is a backdrop for something. Why would they build a fake hotel balcony that they can't build in Pinewood Studios? Maybe it is part of a stunt, of an action sequence. And you have to take these things with a grain of salt, but I have read it in some articles and discussions online that the sequence in Matera will probably last about 18 to 20 minutes. It will add up to that time. There has also been a mention of the total runtime of No Time to Die, which could be 2 hours and 10 minutes. This is not at all just a guess, because before production starts, with most films, they have an outline of how long the scenes are going to be. They need to know that script-wise. So this is what trickled down through the internet, and Matera will be 18 to 20 minutes approximately. A pretty large scene. This is the finished balcony as it looked a couple of days ago, and now they are obviously filming with Daniel Craig and Léa Seydoux on location. Again, if you have any questions to what I'm saying, pop them in the chat. I have the chat on the laptop right here. I can see everything. Let's just welcome some people. Austin, the 007 fan, so excited. Everybody's excited for No Time to Die, and certainly with these pictures coming in daily, on a daily basis, sometimes hourly if they film really a lot. We will see a couple of the Aston Martin shots there. We'll see some videos as well. Lloyd Nance says, awesome intro. Thank you very much. I'm glad that it went through all the cables into the world. What I actually have here, what you are seeing, the picture, is a template I cooked up in my laboratory. And I'm not going to tell you how it came all together. This is all too technical. Not too technical, but Q's lab. So, the fake hotel balcony and the Aston Martin DB5, of course. Whoever of you has read up on the Aston Martin being used, or the Aston Martins being used in No Time to Die, you might have seen the set visit with His Royal Highness Prince Charles when he visited Pinewood, and they had the Aston Martin DB5 and they had the Aston Martin Volante from The Living Daylights. And you could hear it from the mic that Daniel Craig explained to His Royal Highness that the Aston Martins in the film, most of them will have an original chassis, but underneath they will have a BMW engine. Since we saw a lot of the footage being filmed in Matera, the spins and everything, only a BMW engine can probably make the car go that fast and stuff. So what I thought from this image alone, which was one of the first images, it's not an official image, it's just somebody snapped it, is the car and the city with its distinct color of the rocks on which Matera is built. They go well together. They go really well together. It's classic silver-looking car. And it's Bond's car. People said it's overused in the recent films. In Skyfall it is destroyed, and now it's, well, back to health again. Q-Lab repaired it well. We've seen it at the end of Spectre, and also there already people said, overused. I don't think it's overused. I like to see the Aston Martin DB5, and I think it's going to make a big, big impact on this Matera sequence, whatever it will be in the finished film. Here is a video of the Aston Martin, well, just being casually driven around, I think. No need to make it warm. Mr. Rana Singh 007 says, so excited, can you please say when they will drop the trailer? There is talk of the teaser trailer being released maybe sooner than we think. Some sources said next week. Just a couple of hours ago I read tomorrow, but that's probably not going to happen. Since No Time to Die is filmed with IMAX cameras. The teaser trailer might be attached to an IMAX release, so watch out for that if any new films are coming out in the next couple of weeks, where that trailer could be attached to. I forgot, actually, I read the titles that are coming up. Wolfgang Thürauf is online. Hello, Benjamin. Wolfgang Thürauf is, of course, the vice president of the James Bond Club Germany. Hello, Wolfgang. I'm not live in Matera, but as close as I can get. Here's another video of the DB5 smashing through Matera. And there you can really see the city is well used. They have stunt people doubling for normal tourists, I guess. This is a large square in Matera, so a lot has been blocked off by the production. Really a lot. So here is another picture. Actually, it's a video of the square. Many of you have seen that videos. I used it for editing. And today there was actually a news report in the Italian media, sassilife.it. Sassi Life. Sassi is the old town of Matera, so they have their own news outlet that reports. And it actually had an interview with, I think it was the mayor or somebody close to the mayor, and the culture and arts director. And they said, half quote, because I don't remember the exact quote, James Bond is fine, but we had a great impact on business here. Actually, what is that impact? Well, filming has not been received well by everyone during these, I don't know, 3 weeks or 4 weeks they have filmed in Matera. Especially many tour guides had cancellations from tourists because many parts of the old town, the Sassi di Matera, were blocked off by production. They were just locked down. Many of the roads were closed to film the Aston Martin chase, which seems pretty big and pretty intense, as you can see here in that video. Like, for example, this whole square was closed. You can see the people behind the buses on the top right corner not being able to access the square, where I think tour guides would show people around. But of course, these roads have to be blocked for security reasons when you do car stunts and that sort of thing. I mean, there were much bigger productions when you think of Luc Besson films where they have car chases in very narrow streets on a large, let's say, map of wherever they film. Paris has been used a lot. And it can be a bother to tourists and people living there. Obviously, there is the noise. I mean, you can hear the camera people shouting, and you have the 3, 2, 1 action, which is very loud, and of course the cars. Small businesses that rely on tourists reported losses because some of their shops, well, could be visited by tourists because the road was maybe blocked off. And, well, what can I say? I mean, if I would be a small business and they have a Bond production, it's probably not enough when they tell you, well, this film will be viewed by, what, 150 million plus people around the world, and Matera will be much more on the map after Bond was filmed there. I mean, remember Spectre. These little villages, well, Selden is quite large, but Obertiljach in Austria, which is just around the mountains. Such a small village. It had such an impact. They had so many tourists, and Selden, of course, built 007 elements to attract even more tourists. So it puts cities on the map when it is a James Bond location. If that is going to immediately help these small businesses who rely on summer tourism mostly, we don't know. No idea. And what is put to them from the 12 million euros that were invested by the Bond production company? Nobody knows. Lloyd Nance says, I do think the DB5 has been overused, but seeing the behind-the-scenes footage has got me excited again. Looks like it will be a fantastic sequence, way better than it looked in Goldfinger. Yes, well, today they don't have the restrictions that they had in Goldfinger, where much of the car chase was filmed actually in Pinewood, in between the production buildings. It looked good, yes, of course. But today you can make things look much bigger and much more epic. That was what I was thinking of. Epic. This chase could be really epic if it's well edited. It is well filmed. We see that they filmed so many camera angles. There is a very little chance that this is not going to be epic. There is a chance that it could turn out a bit like Quantum, where it's all too fast. But I don't think they do that again. I don't think Cary Fukunaga is that kind of director who wants that fast editing technique, especially in a car chase where they invested so much time, money, and effort. Stefan Hödel, greetings from Austria. Hello to Austria. I love visiting Austria. I'm a frequent skier. Obviously not now. I haven't skied since 2014, I think, and that was just when we did my documentary film in Kitzbühel. William Southall, hello to you. I sincerely hope No Time to Die will be great after the disappointing Spectre. Have to say I'm with you there. I felt Spectre was a bit disappointing as well, not just a bit, yeah, it was just disappointing. It was exactly that. Lloyd Nance, I hope not, but it depends on the editors. Is that referring to the... I don't know what the delay is at the moment, the live delay. So maybe it's about the cutting. It really depends on the editors to make that scene really look good. I would really hate to see that great footage that we saw now behind the scenes go to waste. This picture is actually interesting. A totally scratched Aston Martin DB5. It hurt me deep inside when I saw that, and then I thought, oh, okay, that's probably not going to be real. It's going to be some visual effect. Actually, this is foil. They put it to the side, and you can tear it off, and the car is as good as new. So you can sleep in peace now. The car is fine. Absolutely no problem. James Bond fan film has joined. Hello, Benjamin. Greetings from Finland. There has been shooting with the DB5 for several weeks. There's also a rumor that the V8 is going to be used in Matera due to some photos. What do you think? Hello, James Bond fan film. I know who you are, of course. I will be in your fan film, so everybody can look out for that. The V8 is going to be used, probably not in Matera, because they filmed in Sapri, which is at the coast. I have pictures of that later, so we're going to come to that. This picture is interesting, and everybody who is fast with cars and motorcycles will probably have triumphed, because it is a Triumph motorcycle. Actually, it is, I wrote it down somewhere, it is a Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE. Yeah, well, that's it. I don't have any knowledge of motorcycles and cars. I don't even have a driving license. So this is just one of the motorcycles that will be used in No Time to Die. I found out that also a Triumph Bobber Black will be used, and a Ducati Scrambler, which might be the one that, well, we'll see later. The jump, you know. Quite a lot of motorcycles. Everybody who's into motorcycles, well, Triumph will probably sell a lot of these. Now, is that actually the brand Triumph? I don't know. I like the Union Jack on it, though. At first I thought, he's Italian? Gangsters chasing him? I mean, he's a stuntman with visual effects points on his face, so probably somebody else's will go on there, like in Skyfall. There was a picture that actor Dali Ben Salah posted from Matera, so he might be on location, nobody saw him, and his face might be put onto, you never know. Here is a picture of the actual motorcycle used in No Time to Die. Triumph, a fan snapped that. And you probably all have heard about MGM trying to block videos and pictures that people uploaded to Twitter, especially there on Twitter. Many things have been blocked, and they said due to unauthorized behind the scenes. Now that is really curious. I wanted to make a video on that before, but I thought, okay, you can speak about that in the live stream. MGM, seriously? Unauthorized behind the scenes? I mean, Matera is a tourist hotspot in Italy, and if you're making a film on the streets with tourists watching, I mean, I don't need to explain that to anybody. These are their photos. If they upload them, well, it's still their property. It's not your property. Matera is not your property, MGM. Bit of a letdown there. I thought, well, what's going on there? Maybe somebody had an over-happy trigger finger at MGM and just thought that would be a good idea. But we certainly love to see all these pictures. It's impossible for me to credit everybody who took these pictures. It would be an endless list because Matera is so accessible. This video, or the several angles I have of this video, of this particular square with a bonfire in the middle. There will be a lot of bonfires. This might be an Italian thing, might be a thing connected to Matera. Will probably look good. This is what we saw most videos of, the Aston Martin spinning quite fast, and they did that several times. They filmed several angles, they did several test shots, and well, they just tried what is possible. It pretty much all looked the same. And then they repeated it just a couple of days ago with a stunt rigger on the top of the Aston Martin, where a stunt driver is driving the car, but the actors are actually in the car. So here is the video, and I thought, wow, this is really, really exciting. Actually, there's not much going on. There's not many people. So maybe they want the city to be empty. I don't know. We can see one of the motorcycles and a Lancia following Bond's Aston Martin. And another pursuer vehicle. I don't actually know what kind it is, but the other one is probably a Lancia because I have a picture of that. Here's several angles. This is the next one. I just have to look at the chat before I start the video so that I don't miss anything. Oh my god, I can't even... If grain... I can't read that, I'm sorry. You know who you are. Hi Benjamin, any hopes to the soundtrack? Come back to the awesome again, like the epic works of David Arnold and John Barry. Wouldn't that be great? David Arnold scoring what you are seeing now. I mean, I am an advocate for David Arnold returning to the series since, I don't know, I would have loved to have his work for Skyfall and Spectre, to see what he does with more subtle tones, and not so much the electronic music of the 90s Bonds, which I loved, by the way. I'm really a fan of David Arnold's work since Stargate, basically. Stargate was the first David Arnold soundtrack that I bought. Tomorrow Never Dies, Die Another Day. These were great and very varied soundtracks. So I could never understand this electronic nonsense that is too electronic. It fitted the film. The composer for No Time to Die, I have heard nothing about him before, Dan Romer. I actually had to read up on him, and then I thought, is it good to bring somebody, I don't want to say not famous, but that not many people have probably heard of, instead of a household name. John Barry, well, sadly he passed away. He cannot compose for No Time to Die. But certainly you can have John Barry influences in a soundtrack when you are a composer and call it a tribute or whatever. But I think with what they're doing here, these amazing chase sequences, it just needs a proper soundtrack that screams Bond. I was missing that in Skyfall, I was missing that in Spectre, where Thomas Newman, the composer, reused a lot of his material that he wrote for Skyfall. So in the cinema, the music almost sounded identical, and it probably was. And it underscored the Rome car chase. And I thought, well, I've heard that somewhere before. Would have been nice if they would have thought of something else, but they didn't. So that's where it started, the wish to have somebody else come on board and take over the baton and do the music. David Arnold, I'm a fan, so please come back, David. What else do we have? Eric Marquardt, the 18-minute pre-title sequence will probably be a major part of the story on this movie. I am not quite sure that Matera is the pre-title sequence. That is open for debate. And there is a picture later that you will see where we can discuss that, because it is plausible. They drove off in Spectre with the DB5, and I checked the costumes that Madeleine Swann, Lea Seydoux, playing Madeleine Swann, is wearing now in Matera during the car chase, and what she wore at the end of Spectre, when you see both of them in the Aston Martin DB5. And surprise, surprise, they don't match. She has a different dress at the end of Spectre than she has in Matera. I hope they nail the music for this. Definitely, Eric Marquardt, I'm with you there. Gareth Smith, hi, I've just recently started watching your channel. Amazing work. I'm a huge 007 fan from the UK. Hello to you then. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you will have a great time over the next few years, as long as I'm alive doing this. Don't forget to drink on hot days like this. This is actually a gin and tonic. I don't know what you are having. It's cocktail hour, so it's something I borrowed of David Zaritsky. That's how it's cocktail hour. Every hour in my day is cocktail hour. Gareth Smith, I think he will be a great choice. He did the soundtrack for the video game Far Cry 5. Oh yes, exactly. I read that. I never played Far Cry. I'm an avid gamer, but I haven't played Far Cry. What you see here on the picture is cameras attached to the DB5. Well, and these beasts. I mean, this is a camera car with several mounted cameras, almost looking like a 360 degree. They're not giving us a 3D Bond, but there have been talks of that years and years ago. It's some serious equipment. And now you know why this costs so much, why the production is so costly, and all of this has to be transported to Matera, and partly also why the streets are blocked. Imagine somebody walks off with that, your precious equipment. I mean, that would be hell. Also, these beauties, I mean, it's not like they film with one car. 1, 2, 3, 4 Aston Martins on location, plus the Lancias, and probably a Jaguar is also in there. There's also another car. You will see that in a minute. You have to put that stuff somewhere. Trucks and trucks and trucks of equipment in this ancient city, and you can see in the back of this image, you can see all the production helpers probably wearing these orange jackets just to protect and secure this car park with all these precious cars. I mean, well, you don't want them stolen, but still, fans could take a lot of pictures. So it's funny how close they actually got to some of the filming. I mean, you can film a lot with a long lens. I know that because I love filming and I have long lenses. But these Instagram snaps, well, right where the cars are parked. How amazing is that? 3 Aston Martins. And these are the money shots, of course. That's what we Bond fans love. And me keeping a digital archive, that's what I collect. And here's another thing, MGM. Us collectors who collect these videos, waiting for best quality possible. There have been 4K videos actually of the shooting. Not many, but a lot. We cut our own behind the scenes sometimes. Some fans do that. We cut our own behind the scenes, which is more than is on the Blu-rays actually. So Skyfall, Spectre, they had very, very, very little bonus material. And I was always surprised how such a major production can have such little behind the scenes on a Blu-ray, even on an extra ultra limited edition or whatever. They really have to get better. So for the next release of No Time to Die on Blu-ray, you really have to pack these discs with bonus features and not just something we've seen before on the internet. But with these pictures and videos, we can cut our own stuff. I probably will, if it's not unauthorized behind the scenes then. What else do we have? Eric Marquardt, I think Thomas Newman did really a good job with the music for Skyfall and Spectre. Some of it was good. The reusing was not good. I warmed up to that score of Skyfall, particularly, especially the music he composed for the ending in the chapel, with that eerie choir in the background. And I think that was just one note being played for a very long time. Not a music expert, have to ask Yannick Zenhäuser, who's not here because Daniel Craig is not his favorite cup of tea. But that's what I liked. I also liked the music at the end of Spectre when Bond rescues Madeleine. And Thomas Newman did a clever thing. He composed it like a countdown. And I used this music to video edit something together. And you can get all 24 Bond films into this sequence that he composed. Like every 2 clicks or something, you can put a scene from another Bond film in, and I actually did that and it worked. So this was quite clever. Here you see a shot up Lancia. This is no foil. I think these bullet holes are actually in there. This is one of the Pursuer cars. Somebody on location snapped that. A great one for the archive. I really like that. James Bond fan film. The funny thing about the DB5s that I used in the production, are installed with the BMW engines instead of 4-litre engine 6 cylinders. Yes, of course, obviously. Bold move to fit them with BMW engines, but okay. Thought we've seen the last of BMW with, what was it? The World's Not Enough? Yes. Sunindra DR. I like to see how 007 are selected for 007 status and how they are trained, waiting for coming movies to show this. Big Bond fan from India. Hello to India. Obviously also a Bond location, Octopussy. Well, in Casino Royale at least we saw how 007 gets his license to kill by killing these 2 people at the beginning. Otherwise, yeah, maybe it's a thing for the story. Yeah. Gareth Smith, a new video was released yesterday showcasing the smoke screen on the DB5s. All the gadgets are back and going to be used during the chase. Yes, I have the video. You will see it later. Absolutely no problem. Ah, you took my surprise away. Not a problem. Stefan Hödel, is it true that Dua Lipa sings the Bond song? Actually, don't know. No idea. I've heard a lot. Dua Lipa, Elton John. Actually, I heard a completely different name that I didn't have on the radar, but somebody mentioned it. I think it was on the James Bond Club Germany page, or it was a direct message to us. And I always mix them up, which is horrible. I think he said Donna Summer, but I'm not 100% certain. Always take this with a grain of salt, people. I think it was Donna Summer. It wasn't the other one. Mix up some names. Because she's going to the studio with Mark Ronson, and apparently any time somebody goes to the studio with Mark Ronson, it is automatically an audition for a Bond theme. So big grain of salt. Here is actually not a grain of salt, but an assault on the Lancia. Probably by the DB5. This is a great shot, I think. This is really a great video. I loved that. And I sat there and was like, oh, wow, shooting. And he said, you don't know if this was actually machine gun fire or if the Lancia drove over another gadget that the DB5 has, the metal spikes that it can eject from the rear. Would be a nice touch. I don't know if it's maybe too Goldfinger-ish. We've no idea. How do you see that? I mean, the DB5 hasn't used its gadgets for ages. I think the last time, I'm probably incorrect, but I think the last time was Thunderball when he used in Skyfall he used the machine guns actually, but that was the last time. But only the machine guns. One gadget was used, and the ejector seat was at least, well, almost promised to M. Here is another angle, and you can see the markings on these ancient Matera streets. And an Italian I spoke to, a very good friend of mine, he actually said, well, they have pretty strict rules there on these kinds of markings, so it is not really allowed for a car to brake like that and without any consequences. And he was born a couple of kilometers away from Matera, and he said, I hope they clean it up properly, because that is not easy to clean. And I read it somewhere, they used a special liquid to clean the streets and brushes. From 20-30 guys were like brushing the street, which is good, because you cannot just use an ancient city like that and then, yeah, well, ruin it. So what else do we have? Wolfgang, Donna Summer, good, I remembered the correct name. Thank you very much. Eric Marquardt, Linus Sandgren is a cinematographer on this one, and he is fantastic. We can be sure of beautiful photography on this movie. I hope so. I think I have seen films shot by Linus Sandgren, and I also liked his work a lot. I can't particularly recall which film it was, because I watch a lot of films. But I thought Skyfall was also photographed very well. It had its own moods, it had its own color palette, and I hope that in Matera, which has already its own color palette, that they will use it well and don't do a lot of color grading that they did in Spectre. Spectre was hellishly yellow. It's almost impossible to watch. The version I always watch is a color corrected one. Somebody did a bit of color grading there, that now it's a bit too blue, but at least the snow in Austria looks white and not yellow. So that was something. Otherwise, Eric, you're right. Skyfall was beautifully done. Here we see the stunt woman. I think it is Stephanie Carey. I'm not really sure because of the wig that she wears, doubling for Léa Seydoux. Also having visual effects dots on her face. So Léa Seydoux's face will go on that. Here she is again. And there you see the dress that Léa Seydoux later wears, and this is not the dress from the end of Spectre, so might be something else. This is the stunt driver doubling for Daniel Craig in shorts, because you probably don't see them. And you see how narrow the streets are, so where the photographer is, that's the other side of the street. Very, very, very narrow, and very lucky that he got so close. What you can see here, actually, when you look at the roof of the DB5, I don't know why I'm pointing at it. I mean, you probably see it. It's not like you can see me pointing. It's what I always do. Is it has the ejector seat probably built into, because the part of the roof that goes off when you eject the seat is built into the Aston Martin. So we might see the ejector seat return. Wouldn't that be something? Gary Smith, the chairs and trash confused me. One of the shots showed them on fire, but not sure what it's for. Well, Gareth, I think that they did a lot of test shots with the Aston Martin and the pursuing cars, and the bonfires weren't lit. There were some other streets and some other photos when you go into Matera or outside. I don't know if the outside street or the inside street, where they had lit bonfires. That's true. Funny looking bonfires. It was not just wood thrown on a pile. There were metal things in there. It looked like trash. You're absolutely right. But probably this is to give it a sort of rugged look. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it is a tradition. I didn't research that. Well, let's just see. I think they put them on fire when they did the actual recordings with the actors inside the car, because then you have a lot of shots probably going outside of the window when you see Bond in the car passing by a bonfire, and the other shots were just to have shots into the car. and for cutting and everything. I mean, they shot a lot. It's really, really a lot. How it all comes together, I have no idea. Stefan Udel, why they don't film in Croatia? No idea. It was a rumor for Spectre already that they film in Croatia, but never did. There were, however, talks. I think Eon Productions was in talks with people in Croatia. There was also Greece mentioned for No Time to Die. No action happening in Greece, nothing. Although people from the production were there and met with cultural officials to try to work out something. I heard that several times from several sources, but sometimes it just doesn't come together. And often you have problems with that film financing scheme that most European countries, however, have. It is so when you go to another European country and you make a film there and you invest obviously a lot of money, like here, Matera, 12 million euros, you get something back from the country or the region, not from the city of Matera, but from Italy. So basically, you are paid for making your film there. A lot of American blockbuster productions do their stuff here in Berlin, which is just 2 hours away. They use Berlin film studios. The Avengers films have used what's the film studio in Berlin? Babelsberg Film Studios, and you can see it when you watch the credits or when you know your way around behind the scenes information. A lot of it got shot here. A lot of wartime films are shot in Poland because they have that incentive scheme. They give you something back when you film there. Same with Austria. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I need experts from Norway to do that. Norway recently adopted this incentive scheme, and that's why the Bond production this time finally went to Norway, although things for Bond films have been shot in Norway before. But these were only plate shots that were inserted into the film. Right. On this picture, well, if you're a tourist, you can't walk in there. You can't walk up the steps. You can't, go to your regular newspaper dealer, whatever you do in Matera, because it's blocked off. Seeing these kinds of pictures, seeing how large the production is on location, makes you think about what I said before, these small businesses and people who live there constantly for weeks having to deal with that production and being probably very, very patient because like in Austria, when Spectre was filmed there, the Italians are deep inside, they're very proud that Bond film is being made there. Certainly the Italians living here that I spoke to, they are very proud that Matera is being featured, and maybe it wears off, we never know. Eric Marquardt, do you think Rami Malek will be Doctor No? Well, I've said it before. You've seen some of my other videos. I don't know, I can't be certain. But I did that little wide poster of him in the Dr. No suit, which is a Mao suit. He could probably look like a young Dr. No. And I also said this before. I thought that with Bond 25, No Time to Die, they close a circle of all the films and they stop doing the Bond films, which would of course be horrendous for us as fans, and well, for them, they would kill the cash cow. But what if from 1962 to 2020 and Bond meets or goes up against, which what I don't think, a young Dr. No? This would close the circle of 50 plus years of Bond franchise. Going back to the roots and where it all began in 1962. This would be the boldest move of all by the Bond production company. But before everything started in Matera, before we actually saw some of the filming, there was the press conference, well, the big reveal as we thought, and it was sort of lackluster. It was grey and a bit dull, and I had the feeling, why are they doing that? They don't look particularly happy. They don't look particularly joyful. And Michael Wilson said things like, He can't remember they ever had a title when they went into the press reveal. Well, Spectre, Skyfall, pretty much all of the Craig films had a title when it was announced at the press release. So it all felt a bit odd. And, well, I don't know. I don't want the Bond series to end. That would be really... What should we do with our lives? That would be horrible. James Bond fan film has done a bit of research. The tradition of lighting a bonfire on the day of Epiphany is a pre-Christian and steps right back to the Middle Ages, a period of demons and magic. Yes, that is true. And Matera, especially, we will see that later, Matera Cathedral, where they filmed, is Roman Catholic. And in Italy, obviously, Catholicism is really, really big. And the film, as far as I read, is in the timeline around Easter time that Bond arrives in Matera. There are processions. They filmed processions with the Madonna that is in the Matera Cathedral, or at least it's a Madonna that looks like it. I forgot the name because it's a really, really long name. And actually, Matera Cathedral is called the name of the Madonna. I forgot. Terribly sorry. Should have written that down. I write everything down, but that I forgot. Here you see the motorcycles. Somebody got access to the garage where they're just standing around. Well, some fans. Great. And the car park of the other cars, the Range Rovers will be used. So it's not just Lancias and Jaguars and an Aston Martin. Range Rover will be there as well. Being partnered with Bond for a long time. And they certainly do look rather nice. So, and they will probably have a terrible end in the film. Because, well, Bond always wins. Spoiler alert. This video reminded me a bit, just a tiny bit, of Never Say Never Again. Yeah, not everybody's favorite film. I actually like it a lot. But, well... The Aston Martin going down the stairs in Never Say Never Again, of course, it was a motorcycle. Bond went down the stairs with a motorcycle. It was filmed in the south of France and looked really, really good and terribly exciting. Doing that with an Aston Martin now, well, this showed me that they are not just using the broad streets or the squares in Matera to film something. They actually use the side streets and stairs and really tiny streets and corners and everything. So again, when it's edited right, this could look really, really, really epic. And I love that sort of stuff. I know how difficult it is to produce from watching behind the scenes when Luc Besson does these things in Paris with tight corners and everything. It is really hell to produce that. Another clip that we had was this one. There's a maybe minor spoiler alert, so I don't know, cover your eyes or whatever if you're still here. It's the motorcyclist who chases Bond is jumping after the Aston Martin. There was a later video revealed that, and he crashes through the fence into these cardboard boxes. Also, you can see how small that street is. I couldn't even tell you where it is, but have a look at that. Damn. Wouldn't you like to be a motorcycle stunt driver doing this kind of stuff? Really, really interesting, really nice. I think I have another angle. This is the angle actually where you can see where he comes from jumping. And they built this little ramp. And here's the Aston, and here we go. And into the fence. Maybe this was also just a test, or the ramp is edited out later. I don't really know, can't tell you. But well done by the stunt people. Really great achievement doing all of that, especially what is still to come, you know. This is something interesting. I leave you with that for a moment, and we'll have a look at the chat. Gareth Smith, again, about Dr. No. I think he could be for two reasons. One, he's a scientist and No Time to Die's plot revolves around biological warfare, and a recent scene took place in a lab when the Pinewood explosion took place. that is an indication for the return of Dr. No. Might be. Leutnant says, glad to see the gadgets return. I thought it was a pleasant surprise in Skyfall when the assault on the house began and the guns popped up, keeping the tongue in cheek I think the series needs. Absolutely, I'm with you there. It was well executed from filming and music. A scene I really liked. Everything was fitting in that scene. And then you have the rat-tat-tat-tat of the machine guns. And Bond just a second before popping up to see if he would actually hit something, and then full-blown attack with the Aston machine guns. That was really a wonderful scene. And in the next, you have the Aston Martin destroyed. So that was really heartbreaking for some of us. The Aston Martin DB5, I think, has become a companion to Bond. I mean, it's maybe not only just his company car, it's also a bit his personal car. You got attached to it. I mean, otherwise Inspector, he would not just have taken it to drive off with Madeline Swan. Maybe he stole it from Q Branch because he likes the car so much. So obviously it makes a return. This picture, this is a set of 3 pictures. I think it trickled down through the James Bond Club Germany channels. A purpose-built, maybe hotel, because it has 5 stars. Palazzo Lucareschi. We have no idea what it is, but there is certainly no hotel called Palazzo Lucareschi in Matera. Can be sure of that. I looked it up. There is valet parking, so maybe Bond puts his Aston Martin there. No idea. And there is this car. That one was parked in front of it. And I spent the afternoon, when I came back from training the horses, I spent the afternoon of trying to find the exact car, because as I told you before, I'm not a car or motorcycle expert. This is a Fiat 1200 convertible, and they were built between 1959 and 1963. It is difficult to research because it looks like a Datsun Japanese car of that time. I think Datsun is Japanese. I don't know. And maybe this one is just standing around. I've only seen one other photo of a tourist who posed with the car. So maybe it is just standing around and is doing nothing. It's just in the long line of cars at the valet parking. We never know. We haven't seen any other photos or videos of that lovely red vintage Fiat. But when you remember in Spectre, in the car chase, there was also a Fiat involved. The Aston Martin pushes the old man in the Fiat towards a parking space. So, why not? Datsun is Japanese, Lieutenants. Thank you very much. Thought I read it before, but yeah, well, this is a Fiat. All right, moving on. This is probably a stunt that everybody is looking forward to. We had something from every angle. Is it from down below, from up on the square? This is Matera Cathedral, and the motorcycle is jumping right over this balustrade onto the square in front of Matera Cathedral. This is the stuntman already dressed in Daniel Craig's costume that he's going to be wearing in that scene, and we've seen photos of that recently. A terribly exciting stunt. I mean, I was baffled when I saw that in these Instagram videos. I thought, okay, I can't really see anything. It's sort of a ramp. Somebody's jumping into cartons again. But then you had a close-up and you saw, wow, this is really steep, and he's actually jumping over the balustrade. So that is really the craft of stunt people. That's where all my respect goes when I see the finished film and when I see these fan-captured behind-the-scenes videos. And recently there was talk that, or a discussion, that the Oscars should introduce a stunt Oscar. Certainly when you see things like that, I think they should. Because this is really not just hard work for the stuntmen, it's dangerous. A lot of stuntmen got hurt. Recently read that story about that stunt woman from Resident Evil whose arm had to be amputated because somebody at production didn't pay attention and she ran into a camera crane. I think it was a camera crane, and it ripped half of her face off, and her arm had to be amputated because there was nothing they could do. So the Bond production team is known for doing really great stunts for years and years and years. Since the 60s, they are really known for, and the Bond films are known for, real-life stunts that are difficult, sometimes extreme. And you know what I'm talking about because you're all Bond fans. And No Time to Die is certainly no exception. But it's difficult from film to film to top the previous stunts, obviously. And, well, this shows me that they are on a good path to get even more epic stunts for us. So, what do we have in the chat? Gareth Smith, I would love 007 to return the DB5 to Q in No Time to Die, with it all damaged from the chase. Could be a great way to add some humor and not have it blown up again like in Skyfall. I don't think that will happen, that it will be blown up, but yeah, giving it back to Q and inducing some humor, that would be really nice. A lot of fans, and also I, in parts, like the interaction between Bond and Q, certainly in Skyfall, where you still have spots, something like that. It was such a lovely, humorous exchange, but still, the Daniel Craig films, with Casino Royale as an exception, it had a bit of humor, it had very good humor, in some scenes, not obvious humor in the dialogue, but things like with the car in front of the what was it, the Ocean Club, where he throws the key and things like that. I like these scenes. Was enough humor for me, but then it went all wrong. There was no humor anymore. It was just drama and personal turmoil that Bond experiences with losing Vesper and dragging that on to the new film. It is something that put a lot of fans off. It put me off as well. And now with No Time to Die, I hope that there will not be so much of, this Bond's personal inner drama. And many fans I know long for the return to give him a mission that he fulfills and he saves the world and we're done after 2 hours. Preferably 2 hours and 15 or something. Films get longer. James Bond fan film. Great stunt team indeed. Yes, they are. Lloyd Nance, the sequence seems huge. If it starts at a graveyard, then in a DB5 and a motorcycle, I'm guessing on the order, but it still seems epic. Absolutely. Here is another epic angle filmed by somebody on Instagram. I hope something's happening there. I have seen all of them, so I've selected a lot. Really, I mean, great thing. They redid this ramp. Later there was actually a blue screen. You will see that in a minute. This is Matera Cathedral, where the motorcycle lands. You can see the motorcycle standing there on the blue screen. I think it is a blue screen. Another bonfire is there, and a procession coming from the cathedral, and Bond is driving through the procession with a motorcycle after the jump. So where have we seen that before? Live and Let Die is an example. Bond smashes through the wedding. Might be a reference. I don't know. Matera Cathedral, actually called the Duomo di Matera, which is the Italian name, a Roman Catholic cathedral, as we already explored. It was built from 1203 to 1270. So that was a time in the 13th century where they really took a long time to build churches. But you can see how ancient the city of Matera is. I mean, and deeply religious people. In Italy, especially in the south, somebody told me, deeply religious. That's why there is so much, well, I wouldn't call it religious content, but there are references to the religion in Matera. Built in the Apulian Romanesque style, the church. It has the tower on the highest point of Matera. It's 52 meters high. And all the YouTubers who do location films and everything, they start with that shot. I mean, my introduction video started with that shot, the money shot. The whole of the city and this church tower just right in the middle, in the highest point. It just looks fantastic. I think Matera in itself is fantastic looking. So it is a great choice. Here is the scene, I think. Nope, it's not. Here is another scene with the ramp and the motorbike. Now it has a blue screen, and you will see there is a procession walking in front of that. Here he goes, up he goes. And they are carrying the Madonna. That is similar to the one in Matera Cathedral. If you ever go there, you will see the Madonna holding her child, baby Jesus, on her arm. I don't know why there's a blue screen. Absolutely no idea. Big Chap. Hello, Big Chap. Says, looks like a signature stunt, best since Istanbul Bazaar jump. Yes, that's true. Istanbul was a great sequence, shooting it on top of the bazaar. I like that very much. But I think No Time to Die will be much better. Because obviously they need to top something like Istanbul. But the same technique was used in Istanbul with the visual effects dots on the stuntman's face and later replacing it with Daniel Craig, which sadly you saw on the Blu-ray that it was replaced. So, and hope the visual effects will be a lot better on these shots. Here is a second angle, the best angle of the motorcycle coming up over the balustrade and going through the procedure. This is one I really like, and very good quality. Really, really great. I'll just let that play for you. This is where the money goes. And the Italians going, oh, oh. Really nice. Here's a picture of the procession again with a full band. And if you look closely at the video, behind the motorcyclist was a drone flying up. So they do a lot of drone filming, which is new. It's the first time, I think, for the Bond film that they use a drone. And actually much of No Time to Die will be filmed in the IMAX format. Also, the first time this has happened in the James Bond franchise, that one of these films is made in IMAX. I've never particularly cared for IMAX films. What I wanted to see in IMAX, well, I even forgot, I don't know. But we don't have an IMAX cinema here near where I live. You have to go 45 minutes to the next IMAX cinema, so I don't really know. I don't know, is it the first Bond film shot in IMAX? Wasn't Spectre also shot in IMAX? I don't remember. I don't think so. But, okay. James Bond fan film. What about the funny remote control duck shot by director Cary Fukunaga behind the scenes? It was really funny. Yes, I had no idea what that was about. Maybe he's just a very, very funny guy. Probably won't end up in the movie. I can't think when that will fit in. Matt Tonic. I think the producers realized that Spectre was so blah and will make up for it in this one. So far, everything I have seen, especially the Jamaican teaser, looks fantastic. At least Bond is not knocking over a bunch of cyclists. Yes, and none of the cyclists in GoldenEye is Michael G. Wilson. Or Martin Campbell. We looked at that. I looked at that really hard. In the 4K version, it's not Martin Campbell. Whatever IMDb says. Beware of IMDb, by the way, if it says, well, spoiler alert, young Madeline Swan stunt double. IMDb is much like Wikipedia for agents, producers, people like me. Even I put things into IMDb, so everybody can do that. But I didn't put any wrong info somewhere, so always grain of salt. Spectre, yeah, maybe they make up for the fan experience that we had, which wasn't overly positive. And maybe with No Time to Die, they deliver a better Bond film. I always hope that if the reviews for a film, here you see Bond going through the procession again in the video. I always hope that they take some of it to heart and say, hey, we do this instead, and try to surprise you with it. But in the run-up to Spectre, when I looked at all the behind-the-scenes stuff, I thought Spectre would be great. I thought it would really be... I saw the Austria footage, and I thought, wow, this is going to be epic. This is going to be the most epic Bond film. And, well, if you look back to the 60s and 70s, they always said the next Bond is coming, the biggest Bond of all. I mean, it was on the Thunderball poster already. It was, the biggest Bond of all. And then the next one was bigger, and the one after that was even bigger. So, it is a franchise that tries to surpass itself often. But they have never really looked towards the fans enough. This has changed in recent years. I think I feel that way, and many fans feel that way, that something has changed in the position of Eon Productions towards the fans. They invite us to some of the events. Sometimes it's the distributor, sometimes it's Eon Productions themselves. Like I was part of the preview opening of 007 Elements in Sölden, where Spectre was filmed. Just 12 Bond fans were there, and I was lucky to be one of them. Because we do these things online on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. We keep people interested in the brand that is James Bond, and I think that is very important. And coming towards us and saying, hey, we want you on board for this and that. What we do is practically free advertising for the Bond franchise and for the new Bond film. So MGM should be happy that some behind the scenes pictures go around, because there is a definite buzz. Every morning when I have my cup of coffee, and I have very little time in the morning, there are always 5 to 10 minutes when I check the latest images from No Time to Die, and we do something with it, like this live stream now. I mean, you're all Bond fans, and you want to know what's going on. I don't tell you something new about the films, about the history of the films. Probably most of it you read in books, like beautiful James Bond archives that's behind me. But there are many younger fans getting interested into Bond. And we have to get them on board while also holding up the the history of the Bond films. And this is something I do with passion. The other Bond bloggers and vloggers do it with passion. And for years and years and years, we felt we never get something in return. If it's a great film that we get, hey, okay, I'm happy. Continue what I do. I don't need to have a phone call from Eon Productions and say, hey, you're doing a great job, because I have you for that, the fans and my subscribers. That's what I do it for. Here we have a picture of a purpose-built tunnel leading into Matera, and the DB5 with 2 stunt people in there, and she's wearing a different dress than before. Before it was a cream dress, cream-colored dress, and now it's a red dress with dots, I think, or with little flowers. This could be the beginning. It has been talked about. It could be the beginning of Bond driving into Matera. And since it is a tunnel and remembers us of the gun barrel, it could be that it actually is the opening sequence, the pre-title sequence, which still I don't think it is. And the gun barrel opens onto the DB5 going through this tunnel into Matera, and you have the whole skyline, if you put it like that, of Matera opening up on the screen. That would be something, but it would be more of a stylistic thing. I don't really need it in that way. It is a well thought through thing if they do it like that, but well, let's wait and see. This is another picture of the tunnel. A lot of scaffolding again. Well. Lloyd Nance, you're doing a great job, Benjamin. Thank you. Keeping up. Not nearly drinking enough, I'm sorry. I don't want to bore you with anything, but I have to think of all of that while I go along. That's, yeah, well, that's why it's live. Big chap, Spectre Austria chase was ultimate letdown. Why chase them in a plane? I was all geared for huge ski chase. Indeed, exactly. not just that. I mean, my initial question when I saw the film for the first time in the IMAX in London, I thought, where the bloody hell did he get the plane from so fast? I mean, he's on top of the mountain, and this is not the plane he arrived in. So where did he get the plane from? Was it just parked somewhere? I mean, there is an airfield that you see, Inspector, but it's way down, almost, not almost in the valley, but it's way below where Bond is. And a ski chase. Yes. When did we have the last ski chase? I mean, a cello doesn't really count. But I'm a ski person. I ski since I'm 2 years old. Haven't done it recently, but it's like riding a bicycle. You don't forget. Somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago on Facebook, and I answered the question in my video, A Good Squeeze, where you can ask me questions and I provide the answers. Daniel Craig on a horse. I don't see Daniel Craig on skis, and I don't see Daniel Craig on a horse. I don't know why. No idea. Maybe it could work because he's quite sporty. He looks quite sporty when he does this Bond thing. Even if some people now say he looks way older than Roger Moore when he did A View to a Kill, where he was considered too old for the role. Well, ski chase, Inspector would have been great. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. So, back to the photo call. Here are these two. And many of the people have written comments like, has Léa Seydoux forgotten how to smile? And Daniel Craig. Actually, yeah, that was what I thought also when I saw the pictures. I mean, Cary Fukunaga seemed to be really happy about everything. Smiling, and I think he's a well-tempered, really, really nice guy to be around with, I think. This is actually the video from the photo call. Bond in a nice summer suit. Couldn't tell you what suit it is. We have websites for that. The suits of James Bond. Give them a go. Absolutely. Then you know what Bond wears. Well, she is smiling, but on the official photos they put out, she's not smiling that much. I think they could have given that a bit more, you know. And there she smiles. But it was not part of the official set of photos. This is from Getty Images, and you can see them a bit much of the flash was used. And Daniel Craig looked somewhere else. Oh, what's over there? That's very interesting. Don't know. Here, pictures from the filming, and no, it's not the Fast and the Furious 6. That's something else. Daniel Craig in his costume. You remember we saw that on the motorcycle, looking bloodied and bruised, and that's how we know Daniel Craig. I mean, he's the running Bond for me. It started with Casino Royale when he runs through Miami International Airport. It's just running, 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 and I was so happy that Silva in Skyfall just stood there and said, all this running. It was really the moment for me. That was really, really great. Gareth Smith, all the articles regarding them not smiling confused me. I understand the shots should look this way. Give it a bit more of a sinister look. Okay. If you have a press photo shoot, I don't think that a sinister look is really appropriate. I mean, Skyfall and Spectre, they also had sinister plot elements, so you could have done that, but everybody was smiling, as far as I remember. But, I mean, the sun is shining. You have the wonderful city of Matera behind you, and selecting the official picture, I think they selected 2 pictures, one vertical, one horizontal, to be released on the official 007 website and on the what is the United International Pictures media server, where we editors have access to if we request it. United International Pictures, obviously, and Universal. Actually, Universal is not United International, it's Universal, where the media server is. These were the 2 that were released. The Getty Images were separate, well, on Getty Images. A fun thing that I saw when I downloaded the photo set of the photo call from the Universal Pictures media server, the German one, they were labeled with wrong letters. So we have labeled No Time to Die as NTTD, No Time to Die, but the photos that I downloaded were labeled with NDTD. So that looks more like No Day to Die. Or, I don't know, maybe they changed the title again. They changed so much around. But what I don't like is when people say, or the news outlets say, most of the time it was the yellow press, it is a troubled production. What exactly is a troubled production? Tomorrow Never Dies was a troubled production, because the script wasn't even ready 2 days before they started filming. That is a troubled production, and not even then. Many of the Bond films had a troubled production diary. Never does anything go smoothly. Remember the Aston Martin Vanquish? That was crashed in Iceland. I'm pretty sure they didn't plan that. It just happens. So these big scale productions, and still we're speaking about Eon Productions, which is a family business, but they mobilize such a grand and experienced team to do the Bond films, but still they're, well, I would consider them rather small and compressed compared to a production like Avengers or anything that Marvel and DC put out. I mean, much more people involved there. So they're doing a great job here with what they have. That's really great. So, Daniel Craig, bloodied and bruised, yeah. And here is director Cary Fukunaga and his director of photography Linus Sandgren in Matera. Cary Fukunaga is certainly a relaxed dresser. I mean, the shoes he's wearing over there, it goes into the direction of flip-flops. I would never wear them. I have a problem with that. I probably wouldn't wear socks and shorts. I never wear shorts. I don't know why, but I'm not here to speak about people's habits of clothing. But they seem like a relaxed couple, pretty much comfortable with what they're doing there. And also posting their own behind-the-scenes shots on Instagram regularly. I think they have a lot of fun together, and it's always good in productions, whatever film you're making, that you're having fun doing it. I mean, in the history of cinema, there have been so many films where you really had a troubled production. I mean, just a couple of days ago, I saw an interview with Laurence Olivier, one of Great Britain's greatest actors he was, doing that film with Marilyn Monroe, The Prince and the Showgirl, I think it was. And he spoke very candidly about the production troubles. And one of the production troubles was that Marilyn Monroe was always late. She came sometimes 2 or 4 hours late for her scenes to be filmed. That is a troubled production. I mean, it's not what I see here. They have fun doing No Time to Die, and I'm pretty sure and confident that they get everything done, and we don't have another push of the release date to May 2020 or something. I'm really sure that they know what pressure is upon them. Making a Bond film and taking all of that into account, what we have now spoken about, pressure from the fans to have a good-looking film, to make it more epic than the last. I think they know that this pressure is there. And, well, once you know that there is a pressure, well, you don't add to it, or you can't add to it. Big chap, troubled production doesn't mean bad film. Gladiator was being rewritten as it was shot, and a lead actor died on set. That's correct. Who was it? Whose name? I know who it was. I think it was... Oh, what was his name? Good Lord. There was a big chap. Help me. What was his name? I can't. I really... Sorry for a moment of silence there, but when I forget something, it's really horrible, and I have to think about it all the time, and this bothers me. Oliver Reed, of course, Matt Tonic, thank you very much. Oliver Reed, the person who could probably drink me under the table anytime. Oliver Reed, yeah, of course. And his face was replaced. The scenes were filmed again, and his face was replaced, and they had so much footage of Oliver Reed, I think was the story, that they could overlay his face on the other actor's face. So, like with the visual effects, dots. So, speaking of drinking under the table. Gareth Smith, do you think the traditional gun barrel will return and it fully transition into the opening sequence? The gun barrel is what really thrills me at the cinema. Well, you're not alone there. Gun barrel is a must, and it is a must at the beginning. I don't say that to upset anyone who likes the gun barrel at the end, but I mean, this is history. This is Bond history. The gun barrel at the end, it didn't make any sense. It didn't look good. And actually, when I saw it the first time, I think it was Quantum, I was quite angry that the film didn't open with a proper gun barrel. I was quite angry. I thought, oh, what, this panning shot towards the, and then you have the car chase. No, where's my gun barrel? Sorry. It's like something we want. It's like something we crave. And I'm pretty sure it will be back at the beginning, because in Spectre it was at the beginning, and they will keep that tradition. Cary Fukunaga has said he is a Bond fan, and his, I think his most loved film is Casino Royale. He said that in a video. There was the alternative gun barrel with Bond in the bathroom shooting at the camera. A very nicely designed gun barrel, but it also was in the wrong place. It worked in the film, however. I thought it was a transition I can live with, but with Spectre having it at the beginning, that was better. But in Spectre, and Gareth Smith is right, he said, I hated how the gun barrel in Spectre didn't fully transition. That is true, because you had the writing, what was it, the dead are alive. I always need a moment to think about these things, because I don't watch the Bond films regularly. And so I have to sort them in my head. After all, it's 24 films. That's right, it didn't fully transition into this opening sequence in Mexico City. It should have. And this writing, the dead don't die, with this low drum sound, didn't really work for me. But at least the gun barrel was moved back to the beginning. This is good for the future. I think it will be in the beginning in No Time to Die. Another picture of the motorcycle stunt. This is, I think, Daniel Craig's stunt double, Jean-Charles Rousseau. I will make a special on him at another time, a video about him, maybe also in a live feed. Because I have some of his stunt reels, some of his fight reels, that got me really excited, because they can do a lot of things that Daniel Craig doesn't need to do himself. Great fight scenes that we could expect in No Time to Die. So I'm really looking forward to that. Lea Seydoux on location, having almost a partner look with director Cary Fukunaga. I really like these candid shots. It's, something about that is always odd. This is an Instagram picture. I don't know if it's from an official. It's probably not. But I just like the style of that alone, the behind-the-scenes style. Maybe some of that style transitions into the new Bond film. Before, in the chat earlier, we had a mention of the behind-the-scenes video from Jamaica and how good that looked. Absolutely true. The colors and everything, and the movement of the dancers. That's where my thought came from, that this is all going back to Dr. No, because it's Jamaica. Jamaica is only the third time they use that location. It was used in Dr. No, Live and Let Die, and now No Time to Die. Everything else was mostly always the Bahamas. So why Jamaica? Why such a particular focus on Jamaica, and why do it there, not in the Bahamas, where they went with Casino Royale? And I just love how relaxed Cary Fukunaga is. I mean, as a director of such a production, I would be, whoa, don't take a photo of me now. I look too focused, but he's totally relaxed. Totally relaxed. Lea Seydoux, also something is probably being filmed, and maybe she's out of character. Otherwise, she's wearing 3 costumes in the Matera scene. Well, it would be great. Changing costume 3 times within 18 to 20 minutes. Wow. Here is the actual dress she will wear in the Aston Martin. She has been snapped going to the set, which is the Aston Martin DB5 with a driver on top. In previous Bond films, this has always been Ben Collins, one of the best stunt and race drivers in the UK, also known as the Stig. If you watched a lot of Top Gear, he was a regular there and a really, really great stunt and racing driver. Daniel Craig again, walking down the steps in Matera with his stunt double, Jean-Charles Rousseau. I think it's him. I'm still not 100% certain. And when you look at the IMDb list, there's a long list of stunt performers. Doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a lot of stunts where you need a lot of people, but many stunt performers with a wide range of diversity. So you have black stunt performers, and I'm not a politically correct person, so well, I won't comment on Lashana Lynch. I like Lashana Lynch very much. If she's the new 007, well, go ahead, friend. It will only be for 5 minutes or something. It's just politically correct because I say black person, so not that everybody misunderstands me. And I do it because Beyoncé said in an interview, hey, I'm a black woman, so that's what I want to be referred to. That's why I say black stunt performer. Not that anybody is jumping at me. Today you have to be politically correct with everything, but mostly I never am. It's just an info I want to put out there. Another dress for Léa Seydoux, and that is the red one we earlier saw in the tunnel sequence with the Aston Martin DB5. And here is the stunt woman wearing the same dress. So at least we have 2 costume changes. Maybe the cream dress is for going into Matera. Maybe they stay one night, remember the hotel balcony. We still don't know what it's for. And on the other day, there is the chase. There is, of course, also the graveyard scenes and the bridge jump that I don't even have in there. I should have put it in there, but I didn't like the quality so much. So in total, they built 32 sets in and around Matera, or they use 32 individual locations during these few weeks of shooting in Matera. So there could be a lot in there. They could be staying overnight. Bond and Madeleine could be staying overnight, and some things happen on this day, some things happen on that day. There was also a rumor going around that Bond 25 and Bond 26 are filmed back to back, and 2 scenes in Matera, something goes in that film and something goes in that film. I don't think that they're doing that, but well, you never know. Surprise, surprise. Eric Marquardt, if Madeleine Swan isn't killed in Matera, then Matera may not be pre-title sequence. I just don't see her being killed in Matera. Do you think Bond is single in Jamaica when Felix pays him a Jamaica? What? Did I scroll? Well, okay. Sorry, Eric. Bond is single in Jamaica. I don't know. Well, let's suggest, or let's analyze that. I have to go through that. Inspector, they drive off together. Where do they drive to? Do they go to Italy just for fun? Because Daniel Craig, haven't been to Italy since a couple of films, so let's go there. Since one film. I don't know. I don't think Matera will be pre-title sequence. I think it will be pretty much in the middle. When you look at the clapperboards, I think it was a clapperboard scene 53 or something. That is not the beginning for me. But all of this is just, well, I have no idea. I don't know how they actually put that together and what scene goes where. I think given the size that this sequence has, it could be an opening sequence. I mean, think of Mexico City. This has cost a lot of money. This was really difficult to do. Also with many streets blocked and a helicopter at Zocalo Square. This is not something you see every day. I mean, a lot of films get made in Mexico City, but this Bond thing was really, really, really big. And Matera certainly is of that quality, even if it's just for the money they put in there. But I don't see it as an opening sequence. It's just a feeling. I don't know. I don't think it will be pre-title. A James Bond fan film. Like the suit, the beige and blue really matches. That's true. And you recently told me you're a suit collector, so get it. Hop over to James Bond suits, and they will probably already have it. What kind of suspenders and trousers and jackets and sunglasses Bond is wearing, and you can at least get something that looks similar or even the exact same suit. Who knows? Gareth Smith, Bond films always have an action-packed opening, so Jamaica doesn't fit with me for an opening sequence. Nope, probably not. Another picture of Lea Seydoux in the dress. We've seen this fan-made video. He was on a sailing boat, I think. He had a couple of videos from his sailing trip, and he filmed a water plane taking off and another boat exploding. So if that is enough for an opening sequence, you never know. We don't know what else happens in Jamaica. We've seen a bit from this behind the scenes video in Jamaica. Very stylish shots. I don't think they blow this style for the opening sequence. I think it is somewhere else. But the synopsis says Bond is in retirement in Jamaica. No, it didn't say he is on retirement in Jamaica, but he is in retirement. Is he in retirement in Matera? Or is he in retirement in Jamaica? I don't know. I mean, Jamaica would be my prime location when I retire. But, well, you never know. Okay, Lloyd Nance. 18 minutes for pre-title sequence seems too long for me, but if done right, I don't think it will be pre-title either. The longest pre-title sequence we had was, I think, The World Is Not Enough with the boat chase. I think that was about 12 minutes. Or even longer, I don't remember. Well, there was a funny thing that happened yesterday, and this is just nothing, but I thought it was a bit odd. Maybe you have seen the Amazon original series Good Omens, starring Michael Sheen and David Tennant, where they play an angel and a demon on Earth, and Earth is about to, be apocalypsed. And it's 53 minutes long, 53 to 58 minutes per episode. And normally after 2 or 3 minutes, you have the main title sequence. And I watched it yesterday. I think it was episode 3 or 4. And there was no main title for minutes and minutes. And then I paused and had a look at the timestamp of the video. And it was 22 minutes. And still no main title. And then at 28 minutes, the main title started with about 20 minutes left for the rest of the episode. So, I don't know if they just forgot to put it in and then thought, oh, we've got to put it in. Something like that. But Good Omens is a good series. Really, it's really funny. I love David Tennant. Really great. But, moving along, off the subject here. This one is also, well, humor. Plenty to talk about. Craig was joined by a female assistant as he relaxed between takes on Tuesday. I can't even take such a large sip of a gin tonic to water that down, but I actually commented. I won't tell you what yellow press outlet that was. Probably you've all seen it. It went through Facebook. It went viral. This is, of course, not a female assistant. It is lovely Barbara Broccoli, producer of the James Bond films. Hey, how could the yellow press not pay attention to that? I mean, among the Hollywood producers, she's one of the biggest. It probably doesn't get any bigger. Being the owner of the Bond franchise, well, okay. Well done. Journalism isn't what it was in Carver's time. Well, here goes nothing. I really laughed hard at this, but no. First of all, the picture is not very well taken. Well, let's move away from that. It's just too... And to the moment you're probably waiting for, and the Aston Martin using the gadgets, I still have to think about that. Horrible. The Aston Martin using the gadgets, I actually thought that nobody had seen the clip before the live stream, but it went round midday today, so I'm not the first one to use the video to show it to you. Some other people have posted it before. Here goes nothing. Greatest video that I've seen this week. Really fantastic. And I will not comment it because the sound is so great. I will check the chat while you watch it. Isn't that fun? Isn't that something? Using the machine guns of the DB5 and the smokescreen. Fantastic. And spinning in a circle. Of course, not being hit by other bullets through the windshield because it's all bulletproof. We will get an explanation for that probably, but we, of course, know. Such a great video, and somebody got so close to the actual filming. That is, I mean, MGM, again... You can try to block it, but if a person can get so close to the filming in a tourist hotspot, well, I won't use swear words, but F it, you know? Great work. Whoever filmed that, thank you very much for this delightful insight. And, well, for me, it's not a spoiler. I like to really digest everything that I see in images and videos because it will look totally different on the screen. I have never watched a Bond film that I followed the production since Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough. I have never been disappointed by a Bond film because I saw all of the material before. And in recent years with Skyfall and Spectre, you saw so much of the behind-the-scenes filming in public places that you could almost put an entire sequence together and play out in your head how it will evolve on screen. That's what we're doing now, basically. But still, we're going to see the movie. And probably we're going to see it more than once and still love it when it's well done. So, just a reminder for the production team, if somebody's watching, don't think so. So these videos get me hyped, and hopefully they get you hyped. And when they are shared around, they hype other people up who are probably not Bond fans, but say, hey, what are they doing with that car? Oh, it's a film. I really have to see that. That is the effect that these behind-the-scenes things have. And frankly, there is a lack of official behind-the-scenes material. We are now waiting for the teaser trailer. We haven't seen anything official since the Jamaica video in terms of a, 1 or 2 minute teaser clip of something. Big Chap, GoldenEye teaser spoiled the bungee jump but still loved it in the cinema. Exactly. This is just what I said. And still, I have never loved it less. For being there. I didn't see the GoldenEye teaser trailer actually because I went into GoldenEye by accident. It's a story I love to tell because that's the story how I became a Bond fan. And I said it in my film, so probably most of you won't have a chance to see that. Although I am in the process of making a web series out of my film, but development stage. So don't, well, expect it to arrive in the next couple of weeks, but thinking about the idea. A lot of it has to be changed and stuff. But GoldenEye was actually an accident. I wanted to see Dangerous Minds together with my mother. We went to the cinema, and back then, 1996, yeah, we had 35mm projectors, and the one in cinema screen number 3 that was supposed to project Dangerous Minds, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and I forgot the rest, broke down, and they couldn't fix it immediately. Something ripped, well, maybe the film reel ripped or something. And they said, we don't give you the money back. You can go into another film if you like, because we drove a few kilometers to be in the cinema. And they said, well, then go to screen number 1. There is a James Bond film called GoldenEye. And my mother said, is that for kids? And he said, well, how old is he? And he's 14. Yeah, well, okay. He's with you, so, and it's nice for little boys. I remember that the person at the cashier said it's especially nice for young boys. They love James Bond. And so we went in that and exploded on screen, and I was sitting in the first row because the cinema was packed, and I thought, well, it must be a good film. And I was sitting like that, watching the bungee jump and everything else, the tank chase, and it was sort of like a totally different world. So over the top and so... Well, GoldenEye was pretty dark, but I didn't realize that as a young kid. But the action sequences were so well done. And Pierce Brosnan, since then, is my favorite Bond. Always has been my favorite Bond. I like other Bonds as well. And I'm not a person for favoritism, so don't ask me what my favorite film is or my favorite Bond girl, because I don't have one. And actually, I don't have a favorite Bond, because they all... brought something to the role, but Pierce Brosnan is in my heart because I grew up with him. So he's the only part of favoritism that I exercise when it comes to Bond. Right. Now they have begun filming with the DB5 and the actors inside. So obviously the Aston Martin has rigging around the car, carefully positioned. But it looks really, really good still. And they repeat what they previously filmed, much slower, because I think they just need additional shots. Because it's not that they do the whole chase again. They just need shots with the actors inside of the car. Daniel Craig steering, Lea Seydoux probably, I don't know, getting hyped. Well, getting frightened and not smiling. Who knows? A bit of humor there. Oh, well, I couldn't actually see if it was Ben Collins driving. Don't know. So here we are. Hey, Being James Bond is online. Bungee jump rocked. Joe Darlington, I hope it's you. Thank you for watching. We're almost at the end, sadly, because we arrived at Sapri, where they unloaded more Aston Martins, or the Aston Martin, to film a bit on the coastal road, I think. Not many pictures have been seen from Sapri. This is only the set that I have. But interestingly, also, the classic Aston Martin V8 was unloaded in Sapri. So now, of course, this throws up the question, why are both Bond cars in Italy? So, is he changing cars? Are both cars used? Or think about that. Is one car actually driven by a villain? You never know. I mean, we've seen Bond driving the V8 in London, but what if his precious V8 gets stolen? Why would you have two in Italy? And the V8 has not been to Matera, or hasn't been to Matera yet. Maybe there is still something coming and I have to do another live stream. But this was Sapri a couple of days ago. And I don't know what they do with the Volante. The V8. I always say Volante. Always get it wrong. But nice car. I love the return of the V8. It is a classic tribute that you would do. Not with Spectre, where they had a lot of references to other Bond films, and there is a very, very long list of references and potential references that we have seen as Bond fans. And this is a list of over, I don't know, 300 individual references. Somebody wrote it down. But I like a visual reference, so when something makes a visual return, like the V8. I loved the film The Living Daylights. It's a film I really like to watch. It has a good atmosphere. It has great stunts, great action sequences, great acting. Timothy Dalton, very underrated as Bond, in my opinion. He did a marvelous job on the Living Daylights. License to Kill was, as probably all of us know, ahead of its time. It was pre-stage Daniel Craig. It was too violent for the cinema audience, and even John Glenn, I think, said that to me when we talked about the film. And he will be in Germany on the 3rd of November in the Film Museum in Frankfurt, and probably that question will come up, why License to Kill was so violent and so brutal, and why people did not accept it at the time. I mean, it went with a lot of cuts, I think. But the Living Daylights, I like this kind of story. Ski Chase was mentioned earlier. I love Bond films that have a snow setting. Like, not necessarily like The World Is Not Enough, where a ski chase is used, but well, more like in a romantic setting, like the opening of The Spy Who Loved Me, when Bond is first in this Austrian hut, lying on the floor with the Bond girl and making out. This sort of romantic stuff you think about when it's snowing. When it's snowing outside, you want an inside that is warm and cozy. That's why this summer I put wood paneling everywhere in my living room. So, and in the office space, well, living room's over there. It's not like I live in a mansion or something. And this is really, it's solid wood. It's not fake. It is a fake wall because behind there is a wall. But this took a really long time. And to have the lighting and everything, it's a bit like in a Bond film because it looks like an Austrian hotel room. There are really hotel rooms like that in Austria and Switzerland. And the wood is very, very, very cozy. And I'm just waiting for winter. I'm just waiting for snow. Being James Bond, gorgeous car, great film. Thank you. A DB5 lover or a V8 lover or both. Really love it. Has anybody driven a DB5 or a V8, actually? One of you? I don't know. I've sat in a DB5. I told you I don't have a driving license. I cleaned a DB5. I polished a DB5 when it was on display here. But that's about as far as I got, really. I have driven in a Lotus, though, with the owner. That was quite something. Right. We're at the end, unfortunately, of the pictures and the videos that I have from the filming in Matera. Of course, there is stuff coming in on a daily basis, so next week I could do another live stream, but I think we've been going on for, well, over an hour and a half. That's quite good. And my gin tonic is not empty yet. So I see if we have any more questions here. Lloyd Nance, driven them in Forza. Yes. I'm still playing it, Forza Horizon 4, and actually my most used car is the DB10 from Spectre, because it's reasonably fast, and well, it's just a good companion on the road. It has a very, very good handling, and some other Bond cars, the handling is really terrible. Gareth Smith, I went to the Bond in Motion in London this July. I loved it and was only a few days late from the filming down the road when Daniel Craig came out of the Aston Martin. Yes, indeed, absolutely. I mean, London, for me, always has been the epicenter of meeting famous people, and it has happened. Daniel Craig walked by and he said good morning. I mean, I would have died, probably. It's not like I'm a diehard Daniel Craig fan who would just faint, but these things happen in London. Also, when you go to a theatre play with famous names, that's how I met Ben Whishaw. It was the first person I met from the Bond franchise because he came out of the stage door after performing on stage together with Judi Dench in a play called Peter and Alice, which was written by Peter Morgan, I think. I mean, the autograph is here on my wall, and there are not many pictures here. I reduced it a lot. But yeah, London is really, really a great place if you know where to go, if you know what to check out, and well, there's a lot of Bond filming locations. So London is always worth going, and I hope I will see many of you in April when we all have to go to a certain red carpet premiere. If it is in London, I hope it is in London, the world premiere. It hasn't been announced yet. Bonus question, who knows which Bond films did not premiere in London? I had to research that the other day, but okay. Matt Tonic, thanks Benjamin, this was good. See you at the next one. I will certainly do more live streams, and what you can expect is not me just sitting in front of the camera. You can see or expect something like this. I will have a template. This was actually created in PowerPoint, so I'm streaming a PowerPoint template that I put together. Whenever there is something new that has a significant impact, I will schedule a live stream and I will let you know, and I will hope to see you all there soon. So I haven't eaten all day. View to a Kill premiere was in San Francisco. That's true, absolutely. Maybe I put that on. View to a Kill, like that film, except for Tanya Roberts, but okay. Yeah, haven't eaten all day. We'll do that now. Thank you all for joining in this very first Bond Bulletin live stream. I was really so nervous to do that, to go live. But it's been a really great experience. Thank you guys for commenting and chatting. I think the video will be in my channel for 12 hours, or it will be there indefinitely. So anybody who missed the first part can watch it again. And I say good night. Thank you very much. And see you next time. Now, what do I have to press? I don't remember.